Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from a site that's actually fairly new to me. It's called Survive the News. It's dated January 10th, and I thought this would be interesting to talk about because I'm not sure many people know what's actually going on in Poland right now. So be good to mention that and try to get the word out there. And I know I'm a small channel and people probably aren't going to see it, but hey, you never know. It says Poland is in the throes of its worst political crisis since the 1980s. So we're scrolling all the way down past the ads here, and look, we're already almost like a third of the way down the page. So it's not a long article, but just so you can, so you know, it's not going to take too long to go over this. But it says Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, and yes, that actually is his name, has plunged his country into the worst political crisis since the 1980s in less than a month since returning to power. Yeah, Poland just had an election, and this guy was elected, and the conservative Polish government was removed, and now this guy is a globalist. So just to give you an idea. Says the Ordo Juris Institute for Legal Culture concluded in a detailed report late December that his planned judicial and media reforms are anti-constitutional. In brief, he wants to subordinate Polish sovereignty to German-controlled European institutions, exactly as the former ruling party's chairman Yaroslav Kaczynski repeatedly warned about last year. So another situation where, hey, we're warning you, don't elect this guy to power. This is going to happen, and then the populace does. Or assuming there's not any, you know, free going on in their elections. So it's not hyperbole either to describe the political crisis caused by these so-called reforms as a constitutional one, since new speaker of I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm guessing it's like their Congress or something to that effect. His name's Simon Hlavnia, just suspended its proceedings for a week on precisely that pretext per the exact language that he himself used. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing Polish things. I don't like mispronouncing things that I said in a million videos, but I'm not entirely sure of the exact pronunciation of Polish things since I am not familiar with the language itself. So just letting you know that disclaimer says this wasn't due to Poland's silent compliance with the EU's new migration pact that'll mandate the import of illegal immigrants under pain of financial punishment, however, nor Tusk's forceful seizure of the national media. Yeah, I saw that. And the guy basically just, like it says here, he took over the national media. So their media now is basically just state run sort of stuff. So it says what brought everything to this point was the police arresting two former ministers inside the presidential palace. And this is what kind of made me decide I wanted to talk about this. So who had earlier been pardoned by President Andrzej Duda for allegedly entrapping a suspect after the Supreme Court controversially reopened their case and then convicted them. Duda hails from the former ruling party and will remain in office until the planned spring 2025 presidential elections, unless, of course, he's somehow or another removed before then, which can't be ruled out. Says Tusk accused Duda of obstructing justice and inviting those two former ministers to the presidential palace for the event that they attended before being arrested by police there later that day. The scandalous incident was condemned by Kaczynski and his fellow party members, who used it to promote their pre-planned protest of free polls on Thursday outside of, again, I'm going to mispronounce that, Sim. I'm just going to call it because I don't know how else to say that. Because they also compared events to the 1980s era of martial law with the innuendo that their party is the new solidarity movement. Because if the opposition replicates their predecessor's policy of nationwide strikes, protests, and other forms of nonviolent resistance to authoritarian rule, which is their right to attempt given the circumstances in which the country has now found itself, then that comparison might become a fait accompli. This isn't to suggest that it's not valid at present, but just to point out that the large-scale economic disruption which could follow might lead to the tightening of Tusk's crackdown to the point of actual martial law. And from what I've seen, and I could be misreading this, but it seems like this guy came in, he got elected, and decided to like immediately decide to become a dictator and to punish all the people on the other side of the fence. So yeah, saying this couldn't happen in Western countries. Well, here you go. As the future of Poland will be decided by the outcome of this political crisis. It'll either continue sliding further under German suzerainty as a de facto puppet state, whose people would be forced to endure the full fledged imposition of liberal globalist policies upon them, or they'll regain their sovereignty in order to protect their historically conservative nationalist way of life. If the new solidarity loses, then Polish society will be fundamentally and irreversibly transformed as a result of Tusk's ideological mission. He envisages Poland including legal immigrants because that's going over so well for the rest of Europe. including civilizationally dissimilar ones that refuse to assimilate and integrate into society. And I'd say probably see like Sweden, Germany, France, so on and so forth there, and England as well to some degree. Says removing all restrictions on abortion, possibly up until birth, and rampantly proliferating LGBT propaganda with the associated harm on children's psyches. Says the country would never recover if this happened, since Tusk is so arguably amenable to the proposed military Schengen that could lead to a continuous German military presence throughout Poland. I didn't know they had a presence in Poland. Okay. If the local police, members of the intelligence community, and or the armed forces end up supporting the new solidarity, then you can call in German support for purging these politically unreliable elements from the state and carrying out their functions until suitable replacements can be found. Tusk's version of martial law might therefore be even worse than General, and I'm not going to mispronounce that, this General, you can see the name right here. We're just going to highlight it, who never requested Soviet support and could handle the Fourth Reich that Kaczynski warned about in December 2021. And that is the end of the article. So Poland is not in a very good place right now because of this Donald Tusk fella, and again, that actually is his real name. So for anybody out there that actually watches this, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Certainly if you're Polish or especially a native Pole, let me know what you think about this from that perspective. I'd like to hear that. So let me know in the comments below, like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.